going to talk to you today about the history of gaming and how it pertains to me. How it helped affect my life growing up, and how big of an industry this is. Now I want to first start off, ask how many of you played a video game, whether it's something as an example of here, or computer, cell phone, or solitaire? Everybody. Every single one of us has played a video game in some format. Video games have been around, not video games, but gaming has been around since the beginning of time. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Adam and Eve had some sort of game they played, like count the apples and all that sort of stuff. So it's pretty safe to say that the games will be around for forever, because it's just a part of our culture is to have spare time and use games to waste that time. But first I want to start off with some interesting numbers and a little bit more of the business side of gaming. The average age of a gamer is 34 years old, which makes a lot of sense from later on in the slides. I'll show you that the gaming industry really started around like 1983. So you add that up, I mean the average person is around 34 years old. 67% of Americans play video games, which is a big number once you look at all whole United States. And the video game industry is a revenue of $10.5 billion every year, and it grows each and every year. That's a lot of money. And the big companies, the main three companies that get all that money, it's actually the only three, is Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. All these companies make up that huge number right there. And all these companies literally spend millions of dollars each and every day fighting for your attention, saying, hey, this is our product, you should buy it. And as an example, you see it everywhere. Even on the stuff we drink, there's an ad that says, hey, buy Halo. Now, starting off the gaming for me, started off at the Nintendo Entertainment System. It came out in 1983, but what's interesting is that I was born in '89, so there's a little bit of a difference. But when I was born and grew up around 3 years old, this is what my cousins were playing. We would have our family reunions and Christmas, and I have very fond memories of us getting together, playing Duck Hunt and Super Mario Brothers and all these different games. 62 million were sold in the first year that it came out. A lot of these were sold just like that. And some of the games that most of us know from this console were Super Mario Brothers, the original, The Legend of Zelda, and Mega Man. Next we have the Nintendo 64, which is right here. And it's very near and dear to my heart, because this came out in 1996. So I'm a little bit older, I'm about like 9, 10 maybe. And I can remember getting this console, this exact one, on Christmas. Christmas Day, it's under the tree, I open it, I freak out. And it retailed about $300, which back then was it's a pretty good chunk of change. 33 million of these were sold in the first year. And it really kind of revolutionized the gaming industry the way we have it now. It was the first time that you were given a 3D space to play in. Before, it was just a 2D plane that you went along on. Now, the first game that did it was Super Mario 64. You were able to jump around, go different places, different parts of the game that you weren't able to before. Donkey Kong 64, which I have here in the console, and Perfect Dark. Then we jump to the Xbox, which was probably the most definitive time in the gaming industry that there was such a big leap forward, where we went from the discs, the cartridges like this that have the memory right there, to a disc-based gaming platform. Now, Xbox is made by Microsoft. Microsoft, you might know from every computer that you've ever seen in your life. It was made by Bill Gates. He was the lead push behind the Xbox. He wanted to make a gaming console for gamers, and he knew that there was a big market for it. It came out in 2001. 24 million were sold in the first year. And one of the games that made it the juggernaut brand that it is today was Halo. Halo was the very first really good first-person perspective in a game. And it sold millions and millions and millions of copies. It also what started Medal of Honor. Medal of Honor came out of Call of Duty. The people that made Call of Duty now were the people that made Medal of Honor. And we also have Fable. Then we get to the part where it's my favorite part of this whole industry that we have today, is the Xbox 360. Hard to believe it came out in 2005, which makes me feel really old. 58 million were sold, and the games that make it popular today are, of course, the main three that we see all the time on commercials. It's Halo, Call of Duty, and Gears of War. Now, the way this industry is going is that we look back to where we started at, the Nintendo Entertainment System, where it was just a gaming console. A kid sat alone in his room, played a game. Now we have an entertainment box that can stream your Netflix, Hulu, music. It's becoming a social interaction now. Now it's not just a kid sitting alone in his room. It's a kid in his room, jumping online, playing with friends from school, people from across the ocean, different countries. And it's becoming a very big social part of the culture that we have today. So what's next? I was hoping to do this speech last Wednesday. It was when Sony had its big press release of what they're going to be coming out with next. And that would tie in very well with that. They came out and they announced that PlayStation 4 is coming this year. It's going to do everything you've ever wanted and more, make you coffee, even. And this is just a mock-up of what people thought it would look like. They didn't show it. They won't show it until about the fall time. But it's interesting to think about. What more can we get out of these boxes that we've had around the house all these years? Are there going to be better graphics, more realization, better textures? We're going to have better games, larger platforms where we can play with everybody all day, anytime we want to. Are we moving towards a digital download only generation? I mean, with this Call of Duty right here, I spent $100 on this. $100. But now, I don't have to go to the store and buy it. I can go on my Xbox, press A, and it'll download from my network to my Xbox. I don't need the physical copy anymore. And some people think that that's the age we're going to, where we're getting rid of the physical copy. We already do it now with iTunes. We don't use CDs. We have iTunes. We have our phones. And speaking of our phones, Apple is one of the bigger looming things we might go to, where instead of buying the big physical copy for a big dollar price, we're buying micro transaction games, Angry Birds, Fruit Ninja. These are cheap games. These are 99-cent, $3 games. But when you multiply that by the 2 million people that buy it, it's a big, big profit margin. And it's what is actually eating into Nintendo's market right now. They're losing money because no one wants to buy the Nintendo 3DS, because why would I spend $160 on that when I can just buy Angry Birds for $3? But whatever the case is, in the future, it's going to make me poor. It's going to make a lot of people not have as much money. But I am very, very excited to see what the future brings, and I'm even more excited to play it.